Hey everybody, Barry here again. Going back at the van. Gonna see if I can get some turbo stuff done. Got a couple plans I think may have changed. But before I get at that, forgive me for being terrible at this because I've never really done this before or had this happen to me, but I kind of got some mail. And it's from a guy named Win, who must like my channel, I guess. That's really cool. His YouTube channel is called, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I might mess it up, but it's TUX4PRES on YouTube. So I guess it's like Tux for Press or something like that. But yeah, check him out. And he said, hey man, what's your mailing address? I was like, here you go. So I'm going to unbox it. I have never done this before. And I'm really nervous, but it's really exciting. Oh, and this is his mailing address right here. And all I could find was electrical tape because a marker didn't cover it very well. Okay, I got it set up on the tripod. I've never really had this happen before. And it's really, really cool. Like, I didn't start this up expecting anybody to be like, hey, I'm going to send you cool stuff or whatever. But this is really cool. Okay, here we go. I haven't looked at this. What? This is like gold. New filters, new mask. That is so cool. This stuff is impossible for me to get around here. We can't even get them at the shop to sell to customers, not even little N95 like face masks and stuff. And as much grinding and welding and stuff as I do here, that is seriously appreciated. That's so cool. He's got a letter. Okay, I'm a terrible speaker and reader, but I'm gonna try to read it to you guys. Okay, Barry. Hopefully this will help keep that flux smoke out of your lungs. Because of course all I weld with is flux core. This is the same one I use and it seems to work well. It's a bit large to fit under a welding helmet, so I printed a couple of covers for you. They're tight going on but should work. I've just taped mine when welding. I'll have to print one for myself. Thanks for filming in your adventures. I really enjoy watching them. If you ever start a Patreon, I'll be your first supporter. Thank you, Win IRL. Okay, here's Win's stuff to follow. This says things made poorly on Instagram, Tux for Press, YouTube. P.S. Not an ad for Quick Performance. I guess it's the only paper I have. P.P.S. Quick Performance did get me the stuff on time and it went in perfectly. That's so cool. Okay, while we're on the topic of Quick Performance, I did order a spool from them once. It was a full spool for, I had a 9-inch Ford with a stock case and 35 spline axles. And they were the only ones who carried the full spool for that, because normally 35 spline axles use 3250 case or 3.250 inch. And I had a 3-inch case, which was the big bearing stock. They were the only ones, and they shipped really fast. It was a good price, so yeah. This is so sick. That is so cool. I'm gonna try it on right now. Man, this is cool. Sweet. So I guess I can fit one filter in under the mask by the looks of it. Unless I'm doing this wrong, Win, you'll have to tell me. That is so cool. Oh, here's another one. It fits perfect. Oh, this is gonna be sick. Yeah, I'm putting this thing to good use tonight. All right, back at the van. I may have changed plans on myself again because I'm dumb and I do that sometimes. And that being because this is 2 3/4. Very big pipe. Does not speed up exhaust flow very much because it's massive. I've read that 2 1/4, 2 1/2 is really good for spooling these turbos on LS engines and stuff. 2 3/4 up to 3 inch for divided exhaust system, not a log, but completely divided, can cause it to slow down flow and not spool as quickly. And I really like really fast spool. So I think I'm going to save this for a future project and make a completely divided. I'm going to go 2 1/4 because why not? Might as well. It's not going to restrict any flow or anything. I'm not putting mufflers on it or whatever. And if there is going to be any restriction, it's going to be in my potentially 3 inch, hopefully 4 inch exhaust that goes right to the back of the van. I had 4 inch fender exit on the rat rod and there was no lack of flow there at all. It was wicked. There was like 2 feet of exhaust total on it. And that was really exciting. So hopefully this kind of spools as quick. I doubt it because it's going to be a lot of restriction, but whatever. I'm a lot better at making, say, 2 into 1 merges than I am at this, obviously. And I realize now that I made this completely backwards. I cut out this pipe here first and then tried to make this one fit it when I should have cut this one on the appropriate angle, fit it down over this pipe, and then trace and cut. That would have worked a whole lot better than what I did, but this is the things that you think of when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, ah, I should have done that. Not the way I did it, backwards, and messed up a bunch of pipe and stuff. But whatever, you learn. You get through stuff. So I'm going to keep this because I like it. I really love how it's full diameter on both inlets. It almost makes me want to use it, but nah. And plus, it's going to make it a lot easier because I have a bunch of this stuff here, a bunch of bends, a bunch of turns that'll make it a lot easier. Like this one here would make it perfect to go under the frame rail right here, up into that turbo. Of course, I'm not going to use this flex pipe. I used one of those flex pipes on the rat rod between the left bank and the turbo, and I didn't realize until I was losing a lot of power that the flex pipe had imploded and gone to a hole like this big. And that's not really good for exhaust flow. So I won't be using that anymore. I'll just go solid. And I'll probably put a flange in the middle or put a flange off of the manifold on the driver's side. So I can unbolt it and just maneuver it around to get the engine out, that kind of thing. So let's completely start over and make another merge. Okay, pipe I'm going to be using is this Walker stuff. 2 1/4 outside diameter, 49025. This is not big budget stainless stuff that I'm going to be TIG welding. It's aluminized steel pipe, and it doesn't actually rust very fast if you don't grind off all the aluminized coating. I had it under Cadillac now most of the winter, and it hasn't really turned. And hopefully the van will never see another winter. Cass, that's a bit of a clue there. Please don't drive it in the winter anymore. It's going to be scary driving this thing in snow and salt and stuff like that. So this should look this good in a year, besides it being purple and blue from having excessive heat go through it. Let's cut it up. This piece of pipe here is what I'm going to use as my mock-up, or maybe I'll even use this piece. This slides perfectly up into the flange for the turbo over here. So if I make it on this piece and slide this right up in, then I can just weld it. That'll make it a lot easier on me, being able to do it on the bench, not mocked up on the vehicle. All right, so what I got going on here is I put a piece of tape the whole way around the diameter of this, folded it in half, and then cut it. So I have 2 equal lengths of tape. Then to find, how am I going to explain this now? To make both of these weld together and be the same diameter as this pipe, I put each half strip around my 2 1/4 pipe and then marked it. And now I've got them V'd. I just went down 4 inches. I don't know what kind of angle it's going to give me, but it's going to be pretty ridiculous. But I'll cut it off if I need to and then kind of straighten it out. So my theory is that when I get both of these done, I'll open up the edges to make the pipe the same diameter as this. And I'm going to put it to the test. Let's see what I got. Well, this fits perfect under my helmet. Rough draft, but going to work. And also you can see that this isn't in there when I set it up. Okay, now we can see that it's set up level on the bench. See how it's squished, kind of tilted over this way. That is because now I can turn it this way and have it go pretty much straight up into the turbo flange, and this pipe won't be over too close to the wheel well. Let's try it out and see what it fits like. With the pipe up in the flange like this, it still does hit the wheel well, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get away from, unless I can have it angled over like this, kind of. Get away from the wheel well what I can. And these are going to be cut off a lot shorter, because now it's like 4 or 5 inches below this red cross member here, and I wanted to make a tight turning under that. So I think I'll be able to get away from this front rad support right here and be able to turn and go under the balancer. Still, I think it'll work just great there. The main thing is it's going to work. Now I can start going from the manifold on the passenger side down and under the cross member up into this one. This right here is the exhaust off the van. And it's got a really nice bend right here that could go under the frame rail and come up. And also it's got a bend this way. It does have a flat clamp, so I could clock this if I need to. I'm going to cut it off right here, leave 1 inch or so in case I want to use this Y pipe at some point, because it's really cool looking. I'm going to cut it off here, and I'll cut it off just below this flex pipe and see if it's going to be any good to me. For the record, I did not expect any of that to work. But it came apart. And look how bad the nut is. Like the thread is coming out through it. That's how rusty it is. And it actually unscrewed. This is why I love this stuff. Man, it's wicked. And the pipe came apart. It like came out of this flange. Anybody who knows Newfoundland vehicles, and this thing's been here since 2014, this stuff doesn't come apart. Normally it rusts together so bad that it's basically fused and you just cut it out and throw it away. That's wicked. I just found something else out that's really cool. If I can get this to work, it just slips right on over. Like the perfect size for me to weld. That is so cool. Something else I think will work really, really well is this flange right here. That's also off the Caravan. The bolts in it are pretty rough, but I'll just cut them off if I have to and put new ones in. I think it'll work decently. This flange, this pipe here is allowed to rotate, so I can turn it the correct way to match up to this pipe right here. You can see that now it's off, probably 20 degrees. I'll get this apart, clock it, and then basically weld it to the manifold. And I think that'll work really well too. I don't think I'm going to be able to save any of these bolts, considering it's rusted almost through. And the nuts are pretty rough looking, but I'll drill those out and just put a nut and a bolt through there. This doesn't have a gasket or anything. It's just a tapered flange on this side and like a bulge on this side. They seal together so they can rotate whichever way they like. Here we can see a much better idea of what I'm talking about. This flange is allowed to rotate. This one is fixed. So that means with this flange still bolted on, I can rotate the pipe and clock it whichever way I need to. So I can put a couple bolts in here, tighten them down sort of just snug so I can still rotate it, weld this to the manifold, and turn this wherever I need to. A really cool part is this doesn't have a gasket. It's just a tapered fit. So every time I unbolt this, I don't have to go and buy a new gasket. If I feel the need, I can just put a little skimmer RTV around here and it will be awesome. I know this is terrible looking. I'll get it all welded together, but I think it might be the perfect angle. So that fits up in there perfect. And I think it'll work. It's away from the wheel well here by a half an inch or so. And a little bit of maneuvering here, but I think it'll work really well. Sweet. So I'm pretty much done for tonight, running out of time. But I got a lot more done than I expected, although I feel like I already did this once in the last video, making merges and stuff. But this caravan exhaust, the stock stuff from the stock Y pipe and that, is going to work perfect. I got a flange that I can unbolt, which is something that I was kind of nervous about. I didn't want to have the turbo flange, the Y, right up to the manifolds and all that welded together, because how am I going to unbolt it? How am I going to take the engine out with everything all welded rigid? So the flange for the passenger side is figured out. I'll also figure out the driver's side, which I think, now this is not the manifold, but I think I'm going to retain the factory flange if I can. So I take out any of the studs that are broken off, put new ones in, whatever. That way I can just put a gasket here, bolt the Y pipe up, and then I can unbolt it from 2 points and have the turbo flange and the Y pipe going up to the manifolds. That'll be all one piece, which is not a big deal because it can come down through, up through, out through, whatever, and it'll work fine. So not a big lot of actual progress tonight, I guess not, but I feel more accomplished than when I started, because I was kind of nervous about where the exhaust was going, how it was going to all fit and that. I feel a lot better about it. And I think what I'm going to do tomorrow is really crack down on getting this flange put in place, getting the manifold and flange, I guess, welded together. I'm going to tack everything first. I like to tack everything and then take it off, put it on the bench as one solid unit, and then fully weld it. I always find that I always bite myself when I fully weld everything as I'm going. And then instead of cutting the tack and rotating something, I got to cut the whole pipe off again. It's a big waste of time and materials, and it makes the job, just makes it take way longer. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.